I think when you are an entrepreneur, there's obsession. And without obsession, you won't be successful. And that means that I'm always to the extreme, trying to connect the dots and solve problems. In order to be successful in entrepreneurship, you have to be laser focused and clear out the noise.
Mm-hmm.
My mentality is it might take me a little bit longer to get to where I'm going, but I'm going to solve these other problems along the way so that the people that come after us will get there faster.
Welcome back to the Spotlight Podcast. My name's Tim Branyan. I'm excited for the show today because I have a friend of mine, Courtney Zaugg, who's joining me, and excited to just unpack the conversation and highlight you as the support leader that you are. So thanks for making the drive, and you probably had to get up pretty early to make it down here, so thanks for doing that. Quick intro about Courtney. She is an Indiana-based entrepreneur and innovation strategist. She's the founder of Plaka and Associates. She's the co-founder of an organization that's amazing called Venture Vets, and builds support systems that help founders and communities grow by focusing on capital, talent, and community. She also leads veterans-focused accelerators and work that advocates for making entrepreneurship a priority in both policy and practice. You're doing amazing things. You've been doing amazing things. So thank you for your service as a veteran. And I know I just gave that quick intro, but I want to highlight your story. Go back as far as you want, just to sort of tell us where you've been and sort of where you're at now.
Sure. And it certainly leads into the work that we're doing now with Venture Vets in particular. But born in Chicago, raised in Indianapolis, and played softball at the University of Indianapolis.
Nice.
But my last year, I really needed to get away. And so I ended up finishing school at their Athens, Greece campus. And my family, my father's side is of Greek origin. So I did that.
Real quick, what position in softball were?
I was a catcher, but I was a pitcher up until my senior year in high school.
Okay.
So yeah, but I loved catching more than I loved pitching.
That's tough. My knees would never.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah. To this day. And then did a brief stint in New York City, and then I went to grad school in Brussels. And the goal in Brussels was I wanted to, my master's is in international political economy. So I didn't want to work for NATO, in Brussels or the UN or USAID. And over there, I paid for school myself, and I ran out of money. And so I had to come back a little bit early. And I met my husband a month after I got back. He was in undergrad, finishing school, was going to go into federal law enforcement. Meanwhile, I'm applying for jobs in Afghanistan. So that was 2000. This was 2008.
Yeah.
Right? He got out in 2005 and did 2 tours in Iraq. And I was waitressing. I was like, we're trying to figure out our next steps. We're newly dating. And I came home one day and I was like, hey, I applied for this job in Afghanistan. What do you think about that? And he pauses. He's like, well, I think I'll give you a pistol and a flak jacket and tell you good luck because I'm not going back to a war zone.
Yeah.
And that was certainly a game changer because that was my dream, right? Like I really wanted that work. I loved that work. But I ended up my first real job out of grad school. I worked for the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, and it was to attract foreign direct investment. So I thought, okay, great. There's this intersection between international economic development, and I could be here. He finishes school and is in the middle of the FBI application process, and then he comes home one day and he goes, I don't want to do it. I'm like, what do you mean you don't want to do it? And he didn't want to be away from home. And certainly in those types of jobs,
right,
you could be gone for months at a time. And we spun our wheels for a while. We had to figure out how to be together, same place, same time, but build a career and a dream together. And that was entrepreneurship. So he framed houses before going in the Marine Corps. And so on the side, he started doing some remodeling projects just for friends and to get out there, and he would come home happy. I'm like, you do this work on the side. We should make this the thing. And it took him a little bit, but finally he launched Zinc Contractors together. We did, in 2017. At that time, I was consulting across the country and, uh, working with mayors and city councilors. They always would say that entrepreneurship was a part of their economic development strategy. So that was still, right, 2017, 2018. And it was not true. It was untrue. And so their response was, when I would ask, well, what does that look like? Like, well, there's some community college classes and um, there's an SBDC rep, but, in those areas, they would come like once a month and have office hours. I'm like, that's not a real strategy. You're not really supporting the entrepreneurs in your community. So when I launched Plaka, it was to focus and help communities support entrepreneurship truly and innovation in their communities in various ways related to um, talent, capital, things of that sort. So that intersection, we're building the business, trying to figure out how to build a business. I came from a line of entrepreneurs, but food entrepreneurs, but actually growing up, my parents lost the businesses. So they were third generation and ended up losing the businesses. So the idea of starting a business was, you know, pretty risky and not certainly risky, but I think even from a family perspective, they'd be like, what are you doing? Did you not learn the lessons that
Right.
like from your parents? Um, but when we started too, we went to the SBDCs. They gave us some resources and some support, but it also was clear that there wasn't any type of community or specialized infrastructure for the military entrepreneurs, right? And so that plus, we kept getting phone calls, mainly from Marines that knew Nathan that said, hey, we heard you guys started. I have this idea, but I don't even know where to go. Like, I need an attorney. How do I get customers? Who do you bank with? And so we just started doing that concierge style, flexing, taking people to lunch and dinner and making introductions in our network. And that really was the unofficial launch of Venture Vets. Certainly very different than what it is today, but
Yeah.
that was the evolution of it.
That's so awesome. So literally going through it, you went the way to learn the way, and now you're serving and supporting in that way, and it's probably evolved right since. But
Every year.
that's super cool. So and the thing that really stood out to me is like you have these common thoughts that everyone has when they're getting into something new, especially in business. But you took action, right? You went to the coffees, you went to the lunch, you Googled the SBDC, you
Right.
found the people, you reached out, and like just that alone, like that showing up piece, oftentimes is like I'd say 60% of what I'm advising,
Yeah.
like new folks. It's like, man, get in the game, go get in, go to the meeting, book the like register for the event,
Yes.
just go be there
Yes.
and be prepared to make a friend. Like just that and ask questions and be okay to raise your hand or
Yes.
come prepared to ask and absorb. So that's what really stood out to me is that you guys together both decided, okay, we're gonna go figure this out, and you learn with the intent to serve. That's super cool too. So tell me, let's dive into Venture Vets specifically, and then we'll unpack Zinc and the construction. So I'm curious. I've got questions about that too. But let's dive into Venture Vets. Give sort of the 30,000-foot view of what it is, who it's serving, and kind of how it's evolved to today.
Yeah. Well, work our way backwards. So we are a 501c3 that mainly has done pre-accelerators. So we've done cohort-based training. Um, Either now it's sector specific or it's skill specific. But that's not how it started out. When we started out, it was connecting people to the various resources, right? Mentors or capital or talent, whatever that could look like, in community. So we would hold, when we still do, we would hold monthly meetup events for anyone in the military community that was interested or were existing entrepreneurs. And that was meant to be a support system, and that grew, which was great. And then Bunker Labs came to town
Yeah.
in 2020, 2021. And we led that chapter. It was fantastic. I loved the Bunker Labs community, still do, but we knew that they were looking to be acquired, and
Mhm.
so when we led those cohorts from 2020 into about 2022, we decided to incorporate Venture Vets because with them shifting over to Syracuse University, the Institute for Veteran and Military Families, we wanted to make sure that our work here and our community here was protected and still
Right.
supported. So when we did that, we continued with the cohorts, but we wanted to fill gaps and not duplicate existing programs and resources. So much to, when we started in 2017 to 2022, even the ecosystem in Indiana evolved. More programming and resources and people were available to help. And so we wanted to evolve the program. So with that, initially it was ideation stage, industry agnostic. If you have an idea, it will help you get your plan together and connect you to the next step.
Yep.
Now, we really wanted to be sector focused. Typically the last two cohort and a half have been construction or skill specific. So now we're doing a couple different digital skills accelerators. So things about learning about cybersecurity or AI tools for business optimization, digital marketing, data analytics, things of that sort, which just amplifies any type of new company, right? And then in addition, we've launched our fund. So we're doing a $5 million fund. It's industry agnostic, but it's specifically for veterans, military spouses, or military connected, meaning if you're a child of a veteran or a sibling of a veteran.
Cool.
And that is filling a gap. So most of the accelerators and most of the funds that exist are just for the veteran, or it's mainly targeted to defense tech dual use, which is great. But there's a whole spectrum of entrepreneurs out there that don't have access to resources that we're providing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I want to know about who some of those veterans are, right? Like who's hitting your website, who's attending those events. Talk to me about some of those people, because I'm sure there's going to be listeners that are maybe interested, right, in finding a community, looking for others that are builders, or they're considering a new mission forefront, right? They've got the idea.
Yeah.
They just don't necessarily know where to go. But tell me a little bit about who's in the community now and who's.
Yeah, I think so. It varies which is wonderful. We do have folks in the construction industry, everyone from you could be a roofer to you're doing drones for site evaluation, right? So really tech focused or tech enabled that will show up and want to get connected to others in the ecosystem from a supplier perspective, talent perspective. Hey, there's, banks and various types of capital resources, the folks that attend. But I think people come just for community more than anything else.
Right.
There is something as a non-practicing economic developer, I've seen so many communities that put a lot of time and effort into manufacturing with great intent, manufacturing both the built environment and the sense of community development, but also spaces, right? And that's great. But I think, and it should be that way. I think every community should really think about crafting spaces and programming for the entrepreneurs in their specific community. But what's special about the military community is that you walk in and there's this automatic layer of trust because of the shared experience that you can't manufacture.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a faster way to, I think it's a faster way to, from my perspective, having an entrepreneur get to the next yes or no, when in other communities, both affinity communities and I think geographically, it'll take them longer because that shared experience and level of trust takes more time to build up.
Yeah, absolutely right. We can go into a room, the veterans, and typically know who's won too.
Right.
Shout out to Ian Ramsdale real quick.
Yes.
Instant bromance when he and I connected. And he's funny. He's so funny. He's like, it's a trauma bond. That's what it is. He's like, explain this whole reason why we have this deep-seated connection. And it's kind of like, well, yeah. I mean, a little bit, man. We both had boots in the sand, and I got a chance to meet your husband quick, and it's just, he's a giant, right? Like, just tell he's a leader and been through stuff, and it's really cool. I guess my question that I have is, you've built all these different things. You've been an integral part of kicking down these silos that exist in different entrepreneur supporting organizations. You're catalyst to making things grow and happen, and you're seeing these gaps that need to be filled and or improved. What drives you to keep improving or building? Like, what's the thing?
Hmm.
Like, what's your
I think I don't know. I do think that I think when you are an entrepreneur, you're upset. There's obsession, and without obsession, you won't be successful. Um, and that means that I'm always um, to the extreme, trying to connect the dots and solve problems. The problem, of course, with that is in order to be successful in entrepreneurship, you have to be laser focused and clear out the noise.
Mhm.
But my my mentality is it might take me a little bit longer to get to where I'm going, but I'm going to solve these other problems along the way so that the people that come after us will get there faster. Um, so I don't know. I think that the obsession of making things smoother for others means I'm also learning as I go and in all the iterations of our businesses that the next step in the next year will also be faster and better and more successful. And that's been true. That's been very true. But I don't know. It's obsession. There's an
uh,
obsession that I can't stop.
your service? You're addicted to service.
I
You
suppose
like to get the results. It's maybe fulfilling.
yeah.
I love that. It does require a certain level of obsession, right? To see something, especially in the nature of how complex it is to do what you're doing, to get people together, to rally things and move things towards enhancement.
Yeah.
My question is, how has it been, just being a woman in business and a woman in political space? How have you triumphed maybe in areas where people have fallen short?
Um, as a woman,
Yeah. I know it's different.
wow,
I've shown up in the
that's
rooms and
so
I've
interesting.
observed it. I've been in a room where somebody has the ability, capability, intent, good heart, good mind, totally, awesome, right? But they're maybe looked over or not given the stage in some cases solely because of
Hmm.
um, that. So
I That's such an interesting question. I think I think it's been actually both a benefit and sometimes a roadblock. I think the benefit is and maybe and I don't know if it's actually I rewind. I don't know if it's because of being a woman, but I do think there is some sense of um, the way that I can relate to people and build relationships. I think I can more easily, maybe than some others, um, create a sense of ease and trust. And I don't. Maybe that's partly because I'm a woman and a mother, um, but I think it's also part of my personality. I think the roadblocks have typically been. Um, hmm, I think the roadblocks have been where I think I have challenged men, um, and that hasn't gone over well.
mm,
So that means I get shut out. But I get angry, but then I just I'm like, you'll see
yeah,
that you've made a mistake.
love that.
I think the challenge part though is like being married to a Marine. Um, there's two things. One, I think because of and I'm biased, of course, of the Marines, but the service that you guys have done, you walk around with an air of not really caring what other people think
Yeah,
because you have done these amazing things and you're not there to prove anything else, right? And that air is contagious in our household.
that's cool.
And that's been great for me as a woman in business and certainly how things have evolved. Um, but I think also there's just this lack of I credit my husband both in his personality and because of his experience in the Marine Corps of like you can't there's why you can't be intimidated like
Right.
there's just
You show up and take.
You
you
just
own
do
the
it.
room and you
Yeah.
know your value. And
Yeah.
I love that especially for some of our female entrepreneurs that are going to be listening in or already looking up to you and what you've been able to accomplish. So like I hope they hear that they belong at the table,
Right.
and you're
Right.
gonna run into adversity, you're gonna run into obstacles, but show up anyway,
Yeah.
or kick the door down,
Yeah. And
and
keep going.
yeah, you've got a mission. So
Yeah.
eyes on the prize, eyes on the mission. Don't get distracted by even the psychological obstacles that will be there,
Yes.
and the emotional obstacles that will be there. Just be prepared for them. Like
Right.
just know that they're coming. You're not.
Right.
This isn't safe, right? You get into entrepreneurship, you get into building something. All right, you're going to be attacked, right, at some point. And so I just love that, and love that you're a role model for others, right, that
Thank
are
you.
watching, and that you've got a large LinkedIn following, and I know that there's people that are yeah, I think inspired or encouraged. So
That's very
thanks
kind
for
of
sharing
you.
that. Let's talk about what you're excited about in 2026. What's going on that maybe SBDC should know about, or
Yeah.
listeners, entrepreneurs, support organizations that are watching this? What's going on that we need to
Yeah.
just know about?
2026 is crazy in a very, very good way. Feels like a buildup over the last almost like 2.5, 3 years. So with our shift in focus, we are going to launch a construction tech accelerator, our first truly venture backable accelerator that will go beyond Indiana. That will be focused on the Midwest and include some folks nationally. But we're very excited about that because it builds upon the other construction cohorts that we've had. It also personally is it fulfills a mission where in our work we see in our construction company we see the lack of tech adoption in the industry as a whole, and so we're looking to fill those gaps. And I think being partial to the military community, I think the veterans and spouse entrepreneurs in construction can be the ones to fill that. So there are very few construction tech accelerators, period. Really, I only know of 2 nationally. But the fact that we'll be doing that here in Indiana is pretty special. SBDCs in general. So having partnerships with SBDC, the SBDCs around the state is important because we do get referrals and we refer people to you guys. And that's gone over very well. We've especially, if there's a military connected entrepreneur that is in your region, like I'll make an introduction, right? And I know that they're in very, very good hands. Where in other, sometimes in other ESOs or resource partners, there's extra hand holding to make sure that person is taken care of. And I don't, I don't have to worry about that when I refer them to you, right? But the other thing is we are launching our first fund, our first venture fund,
That's
which
awesome.
is scary and wonderful, and it's going to be great. And so that's the new evolution of what we're doing. Now, with that, we are a small business. Our construction company is the small business model. We've worked with a ton of small businesses, and so we will continue to take care of them. And we're figuring out other ways to help them with their capital stack outside of the fund. But that's really exciting too. So it's not as if we're just, leaving, the next iteration means we're not taking care of the small businesses. We are, just in a different way.
Just adding to
Right.
where it exists. That's awesome. So like we originally met, I can't remember if it was Rally. Was it Rally or was it
I think it
another
was Rally. Yes.
tech? I think it was Rally.
I think so.
And then Heath Murray,
Yes.
shout out Heath Murray, living legend, brought me over to the Venture Vets happy hour.
Yes.
And then that's where I met Ian. That's where I met you and your husband. And I had seen you guys on stage. Talk about the pitch competition that you got. Is that going to continue?
We'll see.
We hope it does, right?
Yeah, I hope it does, but we'll see.
To talk about like that, I guess that experience that I saw, excuse me, in Indianapolis with
Vet Pitch. So that came about really actually unexpectedly. That was not something that we had planned originally. We had a partner with Mott Hadley up in Purdue Northwest Indiana. And he came to me and he's like, hey, I have this idea. I have IEDC is behind it. I've talked with Elevate, but I can't execute it. Would you be willing to take it on? And we're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do our, the first national pitch competition here in Indiana,
Yeah.
specifically for the veteran community. And that was a lot of work. It was so much work and so fun. It was so wonderful to see all of the applications that came in from across the country of the ideas and the
Yeah.
tech that was being developed. And
How many got on stage? Was it 4 or 5?
there were 5 that were on
5.
stage.
And the
Yeah.
ones on stage were awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like everybody was a hit. Hard to judge. I don't,
Yeah, I'm
I
glad I
don't
did
envy
it.
being a judge
Same.
that day. But
I wasn't even involved in vetting the applications, which I'm very glad because I wanted them all to be a part
I
of
can only
it.
imagine how many amazing ideas and cool
Yeah,
innovations were on that list.
it was
Knowing what was
wonderful.
on stage, it's like, geez,
Yeah.
it's cool.
So, many thanks to IEDC and Elevate Ventures because they really gave us that opportunity, and certainly Mont. But that, I think, was a really big turning point in the next phase of Venture Vets. We had just kind of come off of some challenging times with a former partnership, and we were figuring out ways to continue with the cohorts when this opportunity came up. And I think it put us on the map nationally. So I'm forever grateful to the organizations for that. And then after that, we were able to focus on and do 5 more cohorts. So it's been a wild ride, and truly Rally in that pitch competition was a catalyst for the changes.
Very cool. If I'm a veteran and I'm listening to this, or I'm a veteran supporting organization, how do I contact you?
Yeah.
How do I get in touch with you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, so
Okay.
Courtney Zaugg, but also the website. So www.theventurevets.com.
Okay.
My email is just Courtney@theventurevets.com, or they can call you and you
Yeah,
can
I'll plug them in. I
plug
love
them in.
connecting people. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite things to do.
Yeah, you're good at it.
I love being SBDC and IDC. But even if they canned me today, I'm still going to connect people for the rest of my life. I just
I believe that.
genuinely love doing it, especially when it's like, oh, I know you need to meet so and so, or hey,
Yeah.
you haven't heard of this thing. This is going to really help you in XYZ. So, always super grateful for these organizations and people that have exposed me to tools, resources, and things out in the landscape, whether it's Indiana or nationally. Because the more I learn, the more helpful I can be. And I know you echo that same
Right.
thought. So I want to talk about, so you used to work at the IEDC, you were doing international.
Yeah.
Super cool. I bet you learned a ton in that
Yes.
and got your, some connections and resource exposure there.
Yeah.
That's sort of assisted, I'm assuming, in every phase, like of these other ventures that you've done. Let's talk about Brian Shutt and
Yeah.
the new Office of Innovation. Or help.
Yeah. Office of
I don't want to say it
Entrepreneurship
wrong.
and Innovation.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've heard nothing but amazing things about Brian. I just connected with him on LinkedIn. I would love to meet him. I've been told multiple times, like, we need to meet.
We'll
So
make it happen.
hey, Brian, I would like to meet you.
We'll make it happen.
I would love to meet him, and but moreover, I'd love to learn about what's going on, and highlight it for entrepreneurs and such that are
Yeah.
listening now.
Yes. So the backstory with the Office of Entrepreneurship and Innovation is that, and I'll make it short, but there's a national organization called Right to Start that launched in 2020, and their mission was to change policies to remove barriers for entrepreneurs to start and grow their businesses.
Okay.
And I met them through John Deary, who runs the Center for American Entrepreneurship in DC. John Deary is pretty well known because he's done a lot of federal policy work on entrepreneurship, but also to support particularly active duty military spouses in their entrepreneurship journey.
Very cool.
But Right to Start focuses on state and local policy. And I was interested because in economic development and consulting, I saw that many states, but especially in Indiana, entrepreneurship was not the number one priority. It was starting to be talked about, but it wasn't there yet. And I saw their policy, Right to Start's policy recommendations, as a way to elevate it, of kind of taking baby steps to kind of change the conversation and change the culture around what does economic development really mean. It really should mean strong support for entrepreneurship and innovation. And so I took the recommendations to Jen Hollowell with Hollowell Consulting and the Indiana Technology and Innovation Association. I said, hey, what do you think about this? And she's like, this aligns great. And they were the ones that worked really for the 3 years lobbying to establish this new Office of Entrepreneurship Innovation, which I'm so proud of and so grateful to ITAA for all of that work. And so when it was announced that Brian Shutt was leading it, I just thought this is amazing. I had met Brian at his 46 refinery co-working space.
Yeah.
I knew that he was in HVAC. We had not done a lot of work together with our construction company and HomeSense at the time. But he had a great reputation. People really trusted and respected him. And so when he was announced as the new director, it was like a no-brainer. And Brian's a true asset for Hoosiers and entrepreneurship and very mission driven, a trusted resource. And so I'm just grateful that he's at the helm.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. I've been wanting to meet him. He was he's just been on the road. It seems like,
Yeah.
All over the place, connecting with different resources and hubs. So
Yeah.
getting up to speed, and I'm sure, making stuff happen. But what's fun is he's an entrepreneur too.
Exactly.
So just recently I had
That's
Michael
it.
Berger on the show, who's
Yeah.
Michael.
Yeah.
Just always wonderful to sort of hear their thoughts and getting them in a leadership role. Folks like that becoming entrepreneurs
Yes.
is powerful.
I 100% agree.
And it's just fun seeing the programming that they're creating now in West Lafayette, and just where his mind goes when it comes to semiconductors and all these awesome revenue and job making opportunities throughout. It's not even just West Lafayette. It kind of spills over opportunity.
Yeah.
Just really cool. It's always fun to be a fly on the wall and with in the company of really smart people too. I like to sit there and just listen and be be glad to be
all day long. Yes, I agree.
glad to be there.
I'm there too. Yeah.
So as far, if there's one thing that you could share with let's do support organizations. The support organizations that are listening now, or leaders that are listening now, what's something that they could do today to start to enhance their community or enhance their programming that they're doing? What's something outside of connecting with you, right? Like they should connect with you. I think if somebody's a support organization, they could benefit from your connections.
Benefit from Venture Vets in general, or
I think just in general. Okay. Let's say that I am I'm the mayor of Kokomo, Indiana. What's something that should be on my radar to know about that would help all my small businesses in my community?
Oh, I might answer this in a different way, if you don't mind.
No, it's fine.
I think when I think back to successful case studies and communities that have done this work, Fishers, Indiana being a good example, Boulder, Colorado being kind of the primary example when it comes to supporting entrepreneurship in communities. I think it comes back to leadership. So if a mayor's like, what do I do? It's knowing who your entrepreneurs are, supporting them, but also having them be the leader and the ambassador. I think that, government has to create the sandbox, but really the conversation about how best to support your specific type of entrepreneur in your community, which will vary, right, has to come from the entrepreneur themselves. Yeah. And so but I think, a lot of the conversations and about economic development, most of those conversations or partnerships are with the larger job creators, right, and the workforce space in the community. But all the data shows that job creation actually comes from firms under 5 years old. It's your new startups, it's your new businesses that are the ones that are actually hiring and creating long-term economic prosperity in the community. And so if, mayors or county commissioners really want to truly make change and create a sustainable path forward for economic prosperity, it's meeting their entrepreneurs where they are and having them say, this is actually the direction we should take.
I love that. Probably, if there was a round table, right? I'm just imagining like this this big table with every industry, entrepreneur or leader in that, with a series of questions that sort of pulls in information, pulls in ideas, pulls in, that almost becomes entrepreneurial in and of itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that table was to exist, or a quarterly meeting
Certainly.
was kicked off. And that's it's just an interesting thought, like what might happen if silos were broken down and ESOs and entrepreneurs met once a quarter,
Right.
and somebody was leading that with a series of questions that help pull in
Yeah.
a lay of the land. It's just,
Maybe the SBDC should do that.
yeah, I would love to. I would love to. I wish I could also clone myself
I
and be in
bet.
12 counties
I bet.
all at the same time, because my heart and head's in the right place. I just can't
Right.
physically be there in those
Right.
places all the time. So part of my strategy has been trying to, bring folks from uh, more rural areas into
Mm-hmm.
central areas between our spots. The Hoosier Heartland region is interesting, but super innovative and awesome. There's amazing people doing work that matters, and a lot of unsung heroes too. But I think where this show, and shout out to Vision Studio and the ideas and the people that are sort of helping us have this conversation, like very professionally with the nice mics and the lights, and then distributing it more importantly, that helps us be more omnipresent and grow our own brand, and share information about tools, resources that exist. And it's been so much fun just highlighting leaders and folks that may not otherwise get known, right? And different success stories that may not otherwise get read about.
That's true.
So this has been a fun, uh, very well documented sort of test, and we're excited to where this show is going to go in 2026 with the help of the team here. And so always got to give Vision Studio a shout out, and Ahmad and the team. But thank you so much. Real quick, if I'm a leader in a community, if I'm a veteran, if I'm somebody that's like looking for construction help,
Mm-hmm.
how do I reach you again? It's LinkedIn. It's through me. I'll gladly connect you.
Yeah, or the website. But my email is just Courtney at theventurevets.com. So not just Venture Vets, but theventurevets.com. And just reach out. We will reach back out. We are pretty responsive. So
awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for the opportunity. This was great.
Awesome. Thanks, Courtney.
Take care.